If you're poorly educated in geography like I am, then the mentioning of Ukraine to you might sound like an exotic animal or a poor attempt at an insult. However, if you're more knowledgeable than that, then you probably know that the Ukraine is a country in Eastern Europe, and furthermore, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, it is the second largest country in Europe after Russia. Now, what makes me want to discuss the Ukraine with you, that a little over a year ago, my brother was happily married to his wife, who happens to be a Ukrainian American. She and her family moved to America from the Ukraine in 1998 when I was just being born, but she was turning 3 years old. Her and her immediate family are the first of her family to move to America from Ukraine, so I suppose you could call them first generation Ukrainian immigrants. But what I realized having heard that her and her family are from the Ukraine is that I don't know anything about the Ukraine. Back then, I probably couldn't have told you that Ukraine is a country or where it's located. So now, having learned from my sister-in-law and doing some research of my own, I decided to share what I've learned with you. As I said already, Ukraine is the second largest country in Eastern Europe after Russia, with a population of almost 45 million people. The capital of Ukraine is Kiev, and it gained complete independence in 1991 after having been part of the Soviet Union for several decades. Now, as for culture and traditions, Ukraine is actually quite similar to the United States. According to my sister-in-law, Ukraine follows the old calendar, so they celebrate Christmas and New Year's 2 weeks after we do, and the traditions are slightly different from ours. As an example, for Ukrainian New Year's, they like to have 12 dishes on the table, one to represent each of the 12 months. Ukrainian holidays and traditions are also deeply rooted in the Russian Orthodox traditions. So they celebrate Easter by fasting, visiting the church, and splashing holy water on eggs. They also celebrate Maslenitsa, which is a holiday welcoming spring, and in the words of my sister-in-law, basically, you get family and friends together, make pancakes, and jump over a fire. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like a holiday that I should probably start celebrating. Now, what interested me most about my brother's wedding is that they followed a single Ukrainian tradition which used an embroidered towel that I now know is called a ruchnik. The ruchnik is typically embroidered with pairs of birds on them to represent the happy couple. Before saying their vows, the ruchnik is placed on the ground in front of them, and then while they say their vows, they step onto the ruchnik. As the tradition goes, whoever steps onto the ruchnik first has final say in everything, all the decisions for the rest of their marriage. This is typically the groom, as it was for my brother's wedding. After the vows are completed, the ruchnik is collected by the bride's mother, and thus ends the use of the ruchnik in the wedding. Having learned about Ukrainian culture, I found many of the traditions quite interesting, and I hope that you do too. In the words of my sister-in-law, Ukraine is not that much different from American culture, so it isn't a super dramatic cultural difference, but both cultures are very proud and sometimes provide conflicting influences. So I hope after listening to this that you've gained some knowledge of Ukraine and their traditions, and understand that Ukrainians share some similarities with the United States as well as some key differences. Thank you.